I'm here with the Mayor of Napier, Kirsten Wise. Kia ora, Kirsten, and thanks for joining me.
Kia ora, Andrew. Great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for your time. A little bit to get through, but we'll start off with your annual report, which was recently released. Your words, it's been a tumultuous year. Tell me about that, and how has Cyclone Gabrielle affected the annual report, basically?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Cyclone Gabrielle has had a significant impact on our year, as it has for absolutely everybody. And the annual report outlines, in particular, the financial impact that the cyclone has had on council and council activities, both in terms of the initial response and the cost associated with that, and then the ongoing recovery. And of course, the most vital thing is the role that we've had to play in terms of providing support and welfare for our community as they have moved forward in their journey and their recovery, which will be ongoing for some time to come.
So now you speak about the financial implications. What are the financial costs as a result of this, and where do they come from?
It's a combination of factors, as I said. Part of it was the initial response and additional costs associated with those first days and weeks where we were out working within the community, doing logistics, operations, welfare support, etc. And then the ongoing recovery in terms of the voluntary property buyouts, which of course we're responsible for 50% of the cost of that going forward, and other support and activities that we've had to provide throughout the year in terms of repairing our infrastructure, which was predominantly our wastewater treatment plant, of course, because that was completely non-operational for a period of time. So, it is several $1 million that it has cost us and our ratepayers as a direct result of the cyclone.
Has central government been forthcoming in its part of funding and that?
So certainly we have that commitment from central government in terms of the property buyouts, and as a region, the infrastructure costs around roading and stop banks, etc. So, we've got a signed legally binding contract. So I'm confident
Good.
that we will certainly receive the funding from them that we have negotiated with them.
Good. Now, just in terms of the wastewater treatment plant, so is that back up and running and all sorted, and no sewage flowing out into the ocean?
That's correct. It's fully operational now, and a huge shout out to our team. They worked so hard to get that back up running as quickly as we possibly could, because we don't want sewage going out into our beautiful Moana. We're pleased that that's back up 100%.
Yeah. Now the buyout process, you and Hastings had the majority, or had all the houses in that, the category 3. How's that gone? It must have been quite a fraught process, that.
But it's going really well, actually. It's still early days. We have formed a dedicated project office, which is sitting over in Hastings, because they have the majority of those category 3 properties. And we have 14. We have already met with, I believe it's either 8 or 9 of those property owners. So they're already working through the process, looking to get the valuations done so that we can go into negotiations with them. And tracking really, really well for our affected property owners.
Are the majority of people going to take the buyout, or there's some that aren't going to?
I think for those that sit within our boundaries, the majority, if not all of them, are looking to take the voluntary buyouts. And I couldn't speak on behalf of the Hastings District Council.
Fair enough. And now, what other jobs are you still having to do as a result of Cyclone Gabrielle? You mentioned roads and stop banks and that. How are things progressing there? And I know you do work with the other councils on this as well.
So definitely, terms of stop banks and any of that flood mitigation work, that is the regional council taking the lead, and we're supporting them with that. The bulk of the roading is also sitting with Hastings District Council and Central Hawke's Bay, but also the ones that impact us predominantly is the state highway, the Whakakotahi roading projects. So we are obviously in constant communication with them to ensure that particularly the resilience side of it, and in our network, from a national state highway perspective, that the investment's being done there, because obviously we were completely cut off from the rest of the country because all of those integral state highways were inaccessible for a period of time. So we're focused on ensuring that resilience work is invested in and done in a timely way.
Yeah, because I mean, there's still problems, and it's a bit out of your boundaries, but on the Wairau Road, even this week, there have been slips. Does there need to be a solution found for that Wairau Napier Road?
Look, there absolutely does need to be a solution found, and I know that everybody that's sort of a party to that is very committed to ensuring that we can find a long-term resilient solution. And we'll continue to work with Whakakotahi and the dedicated team, the TREC team that's been set up to do a lot of the direct cyclone projects. So I talked to Craig about this. I know how conscious they are as a township to be able to be getting through to Napier and the rest of Hawke's Bay. So it's well and truly, one of the things that's a priority.
Now, obviously, you've just got used to dealing with the Labour government with Cyclone and that, and now you've got a new government, the new national-led coalition. What are your first impressions of this new government?
We have obviously only just really started engaging with them because we needed to wait for them to form their coalition. It would have been late last week, I think it was, we sent off all of our briefing documents to the relevant ministers and the Prime Minister, clearly outlining what our priorities are as a region. Now, I do know that we have some ministers visiting us tomorrow. Not sure how much time we'll have with them, but we actually feel that as a region we're really well placed to engage with the new government, because it is one of the silver linings, I guess, of Cyclone Gabrielle, that we've been working together throughout this year to identify exactly what our needs are and our priorities are as a region. So we're ready to hit the ground running and just engage with them and put our best foot forward.
Is that an important part of it, working together as a region? So all the councils and iwi and that coming together.
It really is, and particularly with this new government, because they have indicated that they're quite keen to look at regional planning and to engage with the regions that are working well together. So we have our existing Matariki governance framework, which has been in place for several years and includes our post-settlement entity groups and our councils and other key agencies, central government agencies. So, we really are well placed to be able to have a conversation with the government about what we need as a region. But at the same time, we don't lose sight of the fact we are individual territorials as well. So we always have to be conscious of the needs of our own areas in addition to those regional priorities.
And now, after many years with Stuart Nash, you've got a new local MP, Nationals, Katie Nimmin. Have you had much communication with her, and how do you see that going?
I've known Katie for a number of years, just as I knew Stuart. I mean, it's part of parochial New Zealand, isn't it? But no, look, I'm really looking forward to working with Katie. We've had several conversations already, and now that we're able to engage in a more formal sense with the government formed and then starting to come out and meet with us, Katie and I will definitely be getting together on a regular basis.
Good. Now, just in terms of what you mentioned with the tumultuous year and that, what impact will this have on rates and rates increases?
We're in a similar situation to, I would say, every other council in the country, whether they were impacted by the cyclone or not. So the cyclone for us is just another layer on top of the very many challenges that local government is facing with regards to cost pressures and trying to manage our rates as best as we can and keep them as low as we can for our ratepayers. So we are right now in the middle of our long-term plan. So with the focus particularly on the next 2 years, starting from July of next year. And, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It doesn't look pretty at this stage. We are anticipating that the increase will be in the double figures. I can't give any more detail than that at the moment, but it certainly won't be under 10%. And we're working as hard as we possibly can to keep that figure as low as possible. And at the same time, we will definitely at some stage be needing to look at the levels of service. And if we do need to start reducing levels of service to keep rates low, then that's a conversation we'll have with our community.
Now, your colleagues, Alex Walker and Craig Little from Central Hawke's Bay and Wairoa, have both said that the system of local government in New Zealand is broken and it needs fixing. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And, I know, Andrew, you'd be aware of all the work that's been done around the future for local government over the last couple of years, with that report being released earlier this year, identifying, I think it was 17 recommendations of what are quite fundamental changes to the way that local government operates. And I think for me personally, with my accounting background, one of the real highlights of that report was around the funding model, and that the funding model we currently have is broken. It is not working. It doesn't work for our communities. It does not work for us as providers to our community, and that is the number one priority for me. We need to take a look at the funding model and find a way to actually make councils more sustainable.
Now, you know how new governments don't like following reports from old governments. Do you think that this national government will actually look at that report and take some of the recommendations out of it, or what do you see happening?
I think the fact that the report was prepared completely independently, and there has definitely been a commitment from the incoming government to look at what changes are required within local government to enable us to be more effective and efficient. I'm hopeful that they won't just decide to scrap the work that's already been done. As a sector, we've been very interested in it. Our, local government New Zealand body has put a lot of time and energy into actually, reviewing that report, and then us coming up with our own sort of consensus-based outcome report based on that. And we're looking forward to having that conversation with the new government and actually ensuring that they do continue, particularly with the things that we've highlighted as a sector that we agree with in the report, that they'll continue to actually engage with us on that.
Now, the talk of the town at the moment is your district plan, in particular fences and the height of fences. You're proposing to take it from 2 meters to, I think, 1.2 meters in sections. Why do you think this is important?
So the rationale for the proposed change is around just creating more connected communities, and there is some theories around that having lower fences actually means there's better visibility, so you can't have strangers creeping around your yard and things like that. The important thing here is to note that it is just a proposal at this stage, and we're really keen to hear from people in a formal way through a plan, and there's other nuances to it as well. You can still have fences, higher fences, and then solid to the 1.2, and then trellis, or see-through to a certain extent for the rest of it. So really keen to hear from people and what their thoughts are about it.
And this will only affect new fences. It won't affect existing ones. Is that right? Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, and what are some of the other things to look forward to in the proposals from the district plan?
Well, I guess, at a national level, we're all very conscious of the fact that we need more housing. And one of the challenges for us here in Napier in particular is we don't have a lot of land. And so the district plan does cover off some of those things around higher density housing. And we've identified the areas where it makes sense to do that, which is predominantly around sort of, more of the urban retail shopping areas, and where you could go to 4-story type townhouses and things like that. So that's probably the thing that's going to impact the most people throughout the city. So, getting people's views on that is really important. It also includes a chapter on sort of sites of significance to Māori, although that one I don't think has been released for public consultation yet. We're still working with Mana Whenua on that. There's a chapter around biodiversity, because we have a responsibility to ensure that we're achieving certain percentage growth areas and that biodiversity space. So it covers off so many different parts, and most people, I think, in the general sense, it might not have a big impact on them, and the people we know it does have the potentially to impact them, we have been contacting them directly, so they're aware of that and so that they can feed into the process.
Okay. Now, obviously, it's cruise season. I think there was one in town yesterday, and there might even be one coming in today. How is tourism in the city? Are you quite excited about things? Is it picking back up?
I think it certainly was slower to start this season, and I know that our hospitality and retail business owners were concerned that it didn't seem to be picking up as quickly as it normally would be. But certainly it is starting to increase now. We were so, fortunate to have those 2 Robbie Williams concerts. That was awesome. I spoke to some business owners who said it was the best weekend they have ever had,
Wow.
not just in retail, but since they've been operating. And we as a council are really, really focused on supporting anybody that wants to hold events or do things here that brings more tourists into the city. We've got our 150-year commemoration next year from the formation of our council. So we're actually right now in the middle of planning a whole heap of events throughout the year next year, which will be for locals, of course, but also hoping to use that as a draw card to bring more tourists into the city as well. So that's going to be pretty exciting.
Okay, just a few more questions. You and the Hastings District Council have come together about water conservation, because it's obviously going to be a long, hot summer. How important is this, and what are you expecting people to do?
It is really important, and ultimately it's the same messaging we send out every year about conserving water. Even just the little things, shorter showers, don't keep the tap running when you're brushing your teeth, just being conscious of that water use, because we do know that at times it's tempting to go out and water your garden every day and do those things, but we need to ensure there's enough water if there are emergencies, and that's what it's all about, really, just making sure that we don't get into a position where if there was, for example, a huge fire or something like that, then obviously our fire service needs to be able to access the water they need. So conserving water really is for the benefit of the whole community.
Now, you've got a review out at the moment about the council, and you're asking people to give their views at Napier Have Your Say, or something, I think it's called. This is the shape of the council and Māori wards and at-large councillors. Just quickly tell us about that. What are you expecting from it?
So this is for our representation review, which we have to do every 6 years legislatively, and it is about the makeup of your council. Māori wards, that decision's already been made. We consulted separately on that last year. So this covers off things like the number of councillors that we have in total, whether we have all ward councillors, which is what we have at the moment, so dedicated councillors for the 4 areas in Ahuriri, or whether we have some at-large councillors. It looks at the boundaries of the wards. It really is a deep dive into what our community thinks would best suit them in terms of the makeup of our elected members.
So how can people have their say?
So we do have it currently open for the pre-engagement through sayatnapier.co.nz, and that is open until the 15th of December. But this process will actually carry on through till about the middle of next year, and we will be out in around March, I think it is, for the actual formal consultation process and asking for submissions at that stage on our proposal. So the proposal that we put together will be based on this initial feedback that we receive this year, and then we'll go out and seek feedback on what we've heard initially and how that's formed the basis for the proposed makeup of the council.
And I know you're still halfway through your term, but what's the potential of you standing again for election of mayor?
Look, there's a lot of projects that are still in play that are likely to not be completed until the following term. And yeah, I guess at this stage I'm not completely decided, but there's a lot of reasons that I would want to continue on for a third term should I be successfully re-elected.
Absolutely. Kirsten Wise, thank you so much for your time today, and all the best in the future.
Thank you very much, Andrew, and you have a great day.
Thank you.